This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on FSSAI's efforts to streamline food safety and standards. The participants are Dr. Amit Sharma, Director, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, and Gaura Dhawanlal, Anchor.
Food security is a topic that is spoken, debated and opined about across the world. But food safety is something that, despite being so critical to individual and national growth, is something that is often taken for granted. Access to safe and nutritious food is very important for breaking the vicious cycle of disease, malnutrition and national development. And our topic today is the FSSAI's efforts to streamline food and safety standards. Dr. Sharma, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So wanting to actually begin with you, and let's start with the information in the news, which is the approval of certain amendments that the FSSAI wanted, and that approval has come. So what are these amendments and what is the change that is going to actually manifest because of this?
So far the amendments are concerned, it's a very dynamic process. And whenever there is a change in the technological advancement or there is a requirement from the industry or there are changes in the consumer preferences, then we have a scientific panel which examines the requirement and they keep on amending the standards or prepare the new standards. Like in the recent news, we had a 43rd meeting of Food Authority in which one major decision which was taken that there will be only one authority for one commodity in the country. So one nation, one food authority will remain there. And we are doing away with the requirement of certification by Bureau of Indian Standards and the AGMA certification for the food products. Another major development which happened in the previous authority meeting was that first ever time it has come up with a comprehensive manual on the microbiological analysis, its protocol for food and water. Apart from that, there were other standards like for the ready-to-drink alcoholic beverages. The standards for Halim were also draft approved for the approval of the Ministry of Health. The standards for the mead or honey wine were also approved by the Food Safety Authority. So these were the major approvals which happened.
So Dr. Sharma, the FSSAI is all about science-based standards, and you regulate the manufacturing, storage and distribution, sale and import. Now, in this whole chain that you regulate in your organization, what do you think are some areas where there is maximum non-conformities?
Basically, anything which is placed in the market for sale is under the mandate of Food Safety Authority. So for the non-compliances are concerned, we have regular enforcement and the surveillance activities which we keep on doing. And we have categorized the food item under the two heads like high risk and the low risk or medium risk food items. And maximum non-compliances, talking about that, we come across related to the label claims. Like sometimes the companies tend to take advantage of the ingredient which has got some claims related to the health benefits. But it will commensurate with the regulatory framework, what claims they can make for a specific commodity. So we keep on guiding the companies that they should make the claims only as per the labeling and claims provisions of the Food Safety Authority. And we also carry out certain surveillance activities at the national level. Like in the past, we have carried out for the milk survey. So some of the samples were found non-compliant on the different parameters related to the adulteration or the safety. And then we go for the enforcement activities for those businesses.
So when we talk, Dr. Amit, about from a layperson's perspective, and what is the biggest tool that I as a layperson would have when one goes to purchase is, and you're saying the label is critical and that is actually the only access that one has to know the quality. So what all should one look for?
If a person goes for purchasing a food product, generally we have a tendency to look for the expiry date or best before date and maximum retail price.
Right.
But apart from these things, one should also look at the level of different ingredients and the different claims made by the company on the label itself. For example, if there are infant food related products are there or health supplements are there, and if they are stuffed with the sugar, which may be taste enhancers kind of thing, or if whether they are using the natural colors or the artificial colors, the limits are already prescribed in the standard. So consumer may not be aware about the specific limits, but he can always take a call whether he is consuming a high fat product or how much calorie he is consuming through that food item. So that should be looked upon while they go for purchasing any food item.
So one of the mandates is, of course, to set standards, but without a compliance percentage which is high, I think the whole purpose is defeated. What is the role of your organization in not only setting standards but helping small businesses, cottage industries, small-scale manufacturers to also make compliance easier for them?
We have been realizing this challenge because the small and micro enterprises, they have the unique difficulties which they face. And for that purpose, we have tried to make our entire ecosystem completely online. And then we also do a lot of hand-holding activities with the micro and small enterprises. We also carry out the training activities. We also carry out several camps in the hubs where the food businesses are located so that we can sit with them, understand their issues. We have an activity called Food Safety Connect, in which all the top-notch officials, including CEO, visits the different states in the different locations and understand the issues faced by the small and micro enterprises. We have a very ambitious target launched by Honorable Health Minister to provide the training to 25 lakh food business supervisors, in which we try to engage with the small and micro because they form the large chunk of the entire food safety ecosystem in the country. We also try to engage with other departments who are working with the food businesses in some way or another so that they can be trained, and in turn they can provide the training and capacity building and awareness to these supervisors who are engaging in the micro and small enterprises.
You spoke of making the whole process streamlined and online. And in fact, technology has this very brilliant way of really expanding the footprint. So how has technology benefited the outreach of the organization?
What we have since beginning Food Safety Authority is relying on the basic principle that we should have a predictable regulatory ecosystem, and there shall not be any need for the businesses to approach our local offices. So the entire system is faceless. There is no physical interface with the businesses. No physical documents are required to be submitted to the offices. But apart from that, online portals for the licensing and the inspections. We also do a lot of media campaigning activities in which we try to make aware the food businesses about the latest development taking place in the regulatory ecosystem. We also work with the various stakeholders and the influencers sort of thing, like we were trying to have a campaign for consumers to consume less salt and sugar. So we engage certain celebrities, the sports persons. We also carry out the workshops and the events at a very small and village level. And we have a very huge campaign called Eat Right Initiative, which is more of a sort of full of the government approach. And under the ambit of this Eat Right Initiative, we have a target of establishing, say, 100 clean and hygienic food estates across the country. The first one was launched by Honorable Health Minister at Prasadam at Ujjain. And we are also launching the 100 webinars on the food safety. So every week there will be the panel discussions and the webinars on some aspect of the food safety so that consumers and the businesses can be benefited with that. And we have online Food Safety Connect app. If any information is required or any difficulties being faced by any of the stakeholders, so they can just punch in their difficulty and it is monitored at the highest level so that immediate response can be sent back to that particular stakeholder.
Dr. Sharma, science-based standards obviously give a common denominator, but India is a diverse country. Our states are very different. Eating habits and requirements are different. So how do you streamline this diversity? Is it different across the states? Are there some unique requirements, or does one size fit all?
As I said, that the food safety is in the concurrent list of the constitution. So it is the responsibility of the central government as well as implemented through the state governments. However, the act, the policies and the regulations and the standards, they are notified by the central government. So the standards, the policies and the regulation, they remain same across the country. However, the implementation is through the state authorities. So we have the Central Advisory Committee in which all the food safety commissioners are the member of this committee, and we interact with them on a monthly and tri-monthly basis, understand their issues. In the implementation, we support them. We have a MOU with them. In case they have any challenges in the testing infrastructure, so we provide the financial support. If they require any technical assistance, so we provide the technical support to the state authorities. For implementation of the Act, we also provide on-site and online trainings to the food safety officers of the different states with respect to the labeling requirement, licensing procedures, enforcement activities, so that this will help in reducing the discrepancies and ensure the consistency in enforcement across the different states.
Absolutely. Could you also please share with us the integration of international best practices and standards into the organization's efforts to streamline food safety in India?
Since India is a signatory to WTO and we have an obligation to the international trade, So we try to harmonize our standards with the international standards, and for that there is a WHO FAO intergovernmental agency called as Codex, and India is a member of Codex, and Food Safety Authority is the national Codex contact point. So we try to harmonize our standards with the Codex, and we also get the feedback from the international risk assessment bodies like European Food Safety Agency is there, or the USDA is there. So we take the inputs from the international risk assessment bodies. However, our scientific panel also carry out their own risk assessment based on the data available in India and abroad. And we always try to harmonize our standards with the Codex standards so that international trade can move seamlessly. However, there may be certain commodities and certain parameters for which we may have the standards which may be different from the international standards, because the risk assessment in India is different and the consumption pattern of the particular food is different in India as compared to other countries.
So we very easily use these two beautiful words, streamline and to harmonize, and simple words, but actually really challenging to implement across the nation. So could you just share some challenges that the organization also faces?
Of course, if you look at the numbers, we have a mandate to provide safe food at least 3 times a day to more than 1.4 billion population in the country. And as on date, we have more than 7 million food businesses registered or licensed by us. Now, it's such a huge ecosystem. And as discussed just now, that we have a challenge to do the hand holding for the small and micro enterprises. But again, we have a challenge because in India, the food is also sold in open. So we have the street food vendors available. Now, bringing these people on the mainstream is a challenge, and for which we are continuously working with the different government departments, with the state authorities, as well as with the not-for-profit organizations, the consumer organizations, so that without undergoing any compliance burden by these street food vendors, they can also be brought into the ambit of food safety ecosystem.
Right. In fact, street food in India is famous across. It's a big tourist attraction also for different foreign nationals. And actually bringing in safety and hygiene standards here must be quite a challenging task. And any successes that we have had so far?
The major success I could see is that when we discussed this issue at the international platform at Rome during the Codex Alimentarius Commission, now FAO is also coming up with the standards for the street food vendors and all. Last month, they were in India to discuss that how we can improve the hygiene and safety with the street food vendors, not only in India, but the Indian model can also be replicated to other countries. And for that purpose, like recently, we have launched the Clean, Safe and Hygienic Food Street in Ujjain, which was launched by Honorable Health Minister, and Honorable CM of MP was also there. We have a target of launching at least 100 such clean food streets across the country, so that these 100 clean food streets can act as a role model for other states as well as the other locations, so that they can replicate the same as per their requirement.
It's interesting you also mentioned that somewhere India's role as a regional leader, because street food is also very, very particular and specific to across Asia. And it's not only a source of income, but a source of good, well-priced, cheap, healthy food available for people. So in terms of this, when we say, what do you think is the future roadmap for FSSAI for streamlining standards?
I would say that our standards are quite streamlined with the international best practices, but still, since it's a quite evolving ecosystem, so we are more trying to develop a system where the food businesses are more self-compliant in nature. We are also planning to organize more and more awareness activities so that my consumer is also empowered enough so that he can demand for the safe food and he can read the labels appropriately. We are also working with the government, so we are working with the decriminalization so that for minor offences the imprisonment may not be there. But on the other hand, the food businesses should know that there will be strict penal action so that it will act as a deterrent for them. We are developing a very robust national level analytical ecosystem by virtue of providing the food safety on wheels. Now, this food safety on wheel can go to the rural interior areas. They can do the testing on the spot, and they are also used by the state governments for carrying out the awareness activities and the capacity building trainings of the food businesses as well as the consumers. We are strengthening our regulatory ecosystem by identifying the emerging risks and carrying out the risk assessment. So, by the Food Safety Authority working with the different technical experts of research institutes and adopting the best international practices. So, we are also collaborating with the several competent food authorities of different countries on the capacity building knowledge exchange, and we have signed the several MOUs with these authorities.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amit Sharma, for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on FSSAI's efforts to streamline food safety and standards. The participants were Dr. Amit Sharma, Director, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, and Gaura Dhawanlal, Anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR.
This is Akashvani. In the program Money Talk, now we bring you a